Okay, now you have seen in previous classes the structure of the anterior abdominal wall, and we told you that in the structure of the anterior abdominal wall we have seen all the layers until we reach the parietal peritoneum, right from skin until parietal peritoneum. It's all 9 layers. They are somatic by origin. So all of them, they will be supplied here by the intercostal nerves as far as their sensory function is concerned, or even if their motor function is available here in between these layers, like your skeletal muscles, they will also be supplied here by the intercostal nerves. ये आपको पता हो गया कि ये 9 layers somatic by origin है. और अब आप अपने parietal peritoneum के, if you will cross the parietal peritoneum, now you will come into the peritoneal cavity. This environment is totally visceral by origin, and this is under the control of the autonomic nervous system as far as motor activity is concerned, because autonomic nervous system, always remember, it is an exclusively visceral motor system. So we say that viscera, they don't have any sensory impulses to in fact to generate the sensory impulses or anything. Yes, they have. These sensory impulses will stay there, they will not be conveyed to the central nervous system, they surely will be conveyed. So which nerves will actually carry them? Sensory nerves. And how the sensory nerves will have their own separate pathway? No, they will run on the same autonomic nerves, but the autonomic nerves will be called as the visceral motor system. Sensory nerves will just be running upon them, but we will not discuss sensory nerves along with the autonomic nervous system. Like in the somatic system, we always discuss both of them together. Sensory, I say somatic sensory, I say somatic motor or voluntary, but in autonomic it is exclusively involuntary motor system. You see that, exclusively visceral motor system. And visceral motor system means उस parietal peritoneum से आप अंदर गए तो फिर उस visceral motor system से आपका वास्ता पड़ेगा. आपके वहाँ कौन सा मोटर सिस्टम है, हमें कौन सी मोटर एक्टिविटी मिलती है वहाँ पर? आपको बहुत ज़बरदस्त मोटर एक्टिविटी मिलती है, because we have the smooth muscles present in the GIT viscera hugely, and you have the glands also, exocrine glands is totally filled with the glands. You see these two things, and above in the thorax we have got cardiac muscle also. But these two elements are present here, they have to be supplied here by autonomic nervous system. But these 9 layers, they are somatic. So we have got the somatic sensory signals are the somatic sensory signals, means they will be carried by intercostal nerves. Below the costal margin we have got 6 nerves, are the 6 thoracic or 6 intercostal nerves. Intercostal, I don't say thoracic as such, intercostal nerves, because intercostal, they are the anterior rami of the thoracic nerves. Though on the posterior side, midline, close to the midline, you have got the posterior rami of the thoracic nerves, but the posterior rami are not called intercostal. Means intercostal doesn't mean it is thoracic, it is the part of thoracic, the major part of thoracic obviously, interior rami of the thoracic only, and they contain, you know, that both the type of signals here, sensory as well as the motor function. So these 9 layers are there, and during these 9 layers we discussed the muscles also, the 3 anterolateral muscles and 1 pair of straight muscle you see in the midline, we call them the rectus abdominis. At the same time, in each muscle you have seen some important ramifications, like in external oblique muscle you have seen here the superficial inguinal ring, you saw inguinal ligament, its posterior free border, its upper free border even, and at the same time when you remove that you saw another structure that is called the internal oblique muscle, and internal oblique muscle means falx inguinal and its contribution in the conjoint tendon also, lower free margin, and between that and the inguinal ligament there was a gap. So this gap was very important because under that gap was passing the spermatic cord. And at the same time the third layer, that was the transversus abdominis muscle, again it was a falx inguinal contribution and the internal, I say, conjoint tendon also. And you remove that and you saw fascia transversalis, and in the fascia transversalis you see above the mid inguinal point there was the deep inguinal ring just 1 inch above that, and you remove that, there was extraperitoneal fat. Extraperitoneal, but behind it was well elaborated, because on the back side it has to hold lot of organs. That's why it is called as the retroperitoneal, because it was behind, that's why we call them not extraperitoneal as such, you call it retroperitoneal, exactly here, not on the lateral and anterior side, because anteriorly you can't call it the retro, we say it is here. Retroperitoneal, there is a huge elaborated fat is there which is holding many organs here. You see that the kidney and initially testis also, because testis develops there, and kidney, ureters, suprarenal glands, inferior vena cava, superior, I say, aorta, and many other structures, lymph nodes, etc. All these were there. And then after that there was a parietal peritoneum, and you reached there. So this was in fact here, and when we developed rectus abdominis muscle, you know that rectus abdominis, it was enclosed within the aponeurosis of the three muscles which you have already done here. We call it the rectus sheath. The different levels its pattern was different, you saw that also. And when you were discussing here the layers of your anti-abdominal wall here below in the lower portion, you saw there was a formation of canal also, a very important canal that was called the inguinal canal. Its boundaries were important here. There will be actually understood in a better way when you have good idea about how these layers are actually arranged. And you saw that how these layers were formed. And this is the canal, and canal was designed, it was meant for something here, and something means it was meant for the passage of the testis here, because testis has to be, in fact, has to be pulled back here, so pulled down, passing through the retroperitoneum, then extraperitoneum, and you see extraperitoneal layer, it is the 8th layer, you know already. So that means it has to come outside, means it has to cross the 7 layers, and out of 7 we were actually asking him to cross just 4 layers, because last 3 layers from inside out, means the first 3 layers from outside in, it was actually making here a pouch. This was called the scrotum. So it will dip into the scrotum here, and if the 5 layers are the 4 layers were there, वो 4 layer आपको पहले बताए, उन 4 layers में से ज़ाहिर इसके लिए पहला layer था वो fascia transversalis, क्योंकि ये खुद था 7वें layer में, 8वें layer में, तो बाहर जैसे आया तो उसका 7वां layer जो इसके लिए पहला है वो है आपका फेशिया ट्रांसवर्सलिस, और उसको जैसे पुश किया तो रिंग बन गई, एक तरह से एक सुराख बन गया, सुराख नहीं है सच देखा जाए तो उसमें से अब अंदर गया तो उसके साथ फेशियल कवरिंग भी साथ लेके गया, और यही हमारी इंटरनल स्पर्मेटिक फेशिया, और यहाँ से बन गया हमारा टेस्टिस की कोटिंग भी, और थोड़ा आगे लग गए तो उसके न्यूरोवेस्कुलर बंडल्स की कोटिंग भी, वो जो न्यूरोवेस्कुलर बंडल्स की कोटिंग, तो अभी तो फिलहाल न्यूरोवेस्कुलर बंडल्स इतने ज़्यादा नहीं है, टेस्टिस अभी फिलहाल इंग्वानल कैनाल में है, और जो आपको पता है कि इंग्वानल कैनाल की जो रेंज है स्टार्ट होती है कहाँ से, इंग्वानल कैनाल स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम डीप इंग्वानल रिंग, मींस इफ यू हैव एक्चुअली गॉन थ्रू द डीप इंग्वानल रिंग, मींस यू हैव कम इन द inguinal canal, means you are a content of inguinal canal, means your testis is the content of inguinal canal. Little more distally your neurovascular bundles will also be content of inguinal canal, and now more you are pushing medially, I say more you are pushing distally, you will pass under the falx inguinal. Which falx inguinal fibers? Transversus abdominis, because they are too high, so they will not intervene. But when you are passing under the internal oblique muscle, falx inguinal, they will actually run along with you. Run along with you means along with the testis, and then along with the neurovascular bundles, means neurovascular bundle will get another coating here. This is called the cremasteric fascia and muscle. So cremasteric muscle will make here a loop like fibers here. So when they will be contracted, when they will be made to contract, for example, so you see that they will pull the testis upward here. This is called the cremasteric reflex, and for this purpose you need here very important branch of the genitofemoral nerve that will enter into and that will be entering into the deep inguinal ring, and that will be a part of part of your spermatic cord also. And then afterward you see that only one muscle is remaining, and that is the aponeurosis of external oblique. You will pass through that, means superficial inguinal ring, you get a coating here. Means the testis will come into the bottom of the scrotum, which is already prepared with the 3 layers here. So that means the testis is the content of the spermatic of the scrotum. But it's neurovascular bundles which will have now the 3 coatings here. Initially 3 coat, then 2, then 1. Because all 3 coats are not uniformly available right from beginning till last. Initially it was, you see, if you are coming from distal to proximal, for example, so initially it will be just 1 coat, that of external oblique. Rather 3 coats means that of external oblique, inside will be the cremasteric muscle and inside will be the internal oblique, that means fascia transversalis, internal spermatic fascia. After the superficial inguinal ring inward, now you are in the inguinal canal. In the inguinal canal you will have 2 coats only, that of cremasteric fascia and muscle and of internal spermatic fascia. Up to the half of your inguinal canal, you will have just 1 coat, because you got the coat actually from the deep inguinal ring up to halfway down. So this will be actually something, that means this way you have to do here the spermatic cord also, a very important structure, and along with that is sleeping your one of the spinal nerves, that is the L1's one branch, that is called ilioinguinal also, that has joined the I say accompanies the spermatic cord almost you see in the initial part of the inguinal canal. So it will not enter, I say it will not enter through the deep inguinal ring, because deep inguinal ring is actually something in the fascia transversalis, and your spinal nerves are lying between third and second layer. Means third and second means it will jump from the roof. You see that ये ऐसे आएगी, जो फॉक्स इंग्वाइनल था वहां से जंप करेगी रूफ में, यानी ये पैराट्रूपर की तरह ऊपर से आएगी. ये डीप इंग्वाइनल रिंग में स्पर्मेटिक कार्ड का कंटेंट नहीं होगी. डीप इंग्वाइनल रिंग से जाती तो स्पर्मेटिक कार्ड का कंटेंट बन जाती, लेकिन ये ऊपर से आ गई है, तो इट विल रन पैरेलल टू दैट हियर. So this was also very important in the descent of the testis. You know the pathway, and you see process vaginalis and other things. You see these all things, you know that they are important from anterior abdominal point of view. And when you actually discuss the anterior abdominal wall here, now you are actually going in through the neurovascular bundles of the anterior abdominal wall. And as far your neurovascular bundles are concerned, you see first thing that is called the arteries are the blood supply of the arterial supply of the anterior abdominal wall. Watch it now. See an arterial supply of the anterior abdominal wall. You have already seen here. Arterial supply means, if you see the midline, central part of the upper part of abdomen, that will be supplied here by the superior epigastric artery. And you already know this is called the superior epigastric artery. And you know that superior epigastric artery comes from where? This is actually the branch of the terminal branch, one of the terminal branches of the internal thoracic, and internal thoracic is the branch of your subclavian. At your subclavian, you know that either it will directly come from the arch of aorta, or on the right side it will be one of the branches of the brachiocephalic trunk. Means this will be actually here like this the superior, and one branch you know that of the internal thoracic artery, and internal thoracic artery and its other branch you know that is called the musculophrenic. So this is the one branch here, and that one branch you know that is called the superior epigastric artery, will supply the abdomen in the central region in the upper half. And if you are actually watching how it enters into the abdomen, means it has to pass through the diaphragm. Which part of the diaphragm? Central slip, that is called the slip, that is called the sternal slip of the diaphragm, that emerges from the back of your xiphoid process here. And after comes the 6 slips of costal slips. So between the last slip, you see that between the last slip of say first slip of your costal slip of your diaphragm and the sternal slip of your diaphragm, between them it actually emerges, passes through and enters into the rectus sheath. Enters into the abdomen, in the rectus sheath, behind the rectus abdominis. You see, sir, why behind the rectus abdominis? Because you see rectus abdominis is lying here on the anterior surface of your costal cartilages, and it is emerging from behind. So where it will lie? Not in front, obviously, behind. And in front it cannot come, because you already know there are tendinous intersections. Nobody can actually continuously come. So यहाँ से क्या होगा? ये behind से आएगी, and behind means it will be now the part of the rectus sheath on the posterior wall. It's running on the posterior wall, so you see that's running on the posterior, sleeping upon the posterior rectus sheath. And posterior rectus sheath means it will be in contact with what? In contact with the posterior rectus sheath, but in which aponeurosis it will be in contact with? Internal. Internal, you say internal is a posterior lamina of the internal oblique, because you see internal oblique has already divided at the lateral border of rectus abdominis. To form here, you know that is called the linea semilunaris here. So this was actually, this blue color line is the linea semilunaris. So it has now entered here on the back side. When it enters on the back side, you see up to the level of umbilicus it will supply. Means central part of your abdomen above the umbilicus level, it will be supplied here by the superior epigastric. But the superior epigastric continuously will come here, will make anastomosis with what? With the inferior epigastric. And you have already seen the inferior epigastric. You see this. This is the inferior epigastric artery. And inferior epigastric artery, already you know that it is a branch of what? It is a branch of external iliac, which you know that at the mid-inguinal point is becoming the femoral artery. So it is actually giving here, and this is very important artery. Already you know that differentiates between the inguinal hernia. You see different types of inguinal hernia, either direct or indirect, because this will be actually, because this artery, I tell you that if this is now your fascia transversalis, so this artery should be now broken, for example, you can't see this artery here, and when it will be running here behind the fascia transversalis in the extraperitoneal fate, because all the vessels run in the extraperitoneal fate. If they are running in the extraperitoneal fates, it will be running very close to the medial edge of deep inguinal ring. So it is running very close to the medial edge of the deep inguinal ring. If it is running very close to the deep inguinal ring here, So that means if you are lying within the extraperitoneal fade, so from extraperitoneal fade you can see the deep inguinal ring from inside or not? You can see here. So if you are seeing the deep inguinal ring, so this artery is also looking that I am very close to the medial edge of deep inguinal ring. So it can jump here and will give you a branch and will enter into the deep inguinal ring. And if anything enters into the deep inguinal ring, means it will be just entering into the deep inguinal ring, or it will be covered with the internal spermatic fascia. So why don't you say it being a content of now spermatic cord? This is called the artery which has been given like this here. This is called the cremasteric artery. So cremasteric artery will become a content. You see this cremasteric artery has entered here. But watch it here, this now, this artery is called what? This artery is called the inferior epigastric artery. That enters again because here is lying your rectus abdominis. And this is your lateral border, and now you are entering here. So that means that this will now be behind the rectus abdominis here. And now it is anastomosis with this. So means below the umbilicus, in the lower portion, in the central lower portion of your abdomen, below the umbilicus is supplied by this artery. And now you can see, if this is the lateral border, you see here, this is the lateral border of, this is, for example, linea semicircularis or semilinearis, but this will be what? Lateral border of your rectus abdominis muscle. And this is the artery that is called inferior epigastric artery. And you know that if you are actually seeing here, this is the medial part of your inguinal ligament here. So you see a triangle has been created here. And that triangle has been created very close to the lateral border of that triangle is lying your deep inguinal ring. And from deep inguinal ring is emerging your hernia. But the hernia can emerge even from the back of this also, from the floor of this. And this is the triangle. This triangle is called the triangle of Hazelbach, or you call it this triangle is called the inguinal triangle. This is called the inguinal triangle. इसको कहते हैं हम inguinal triangle or triangle of Hazelbach. ये ट्रायंगल ऑफ हेज़लबैच। अब ट्रायंगल ऑफ हेज़लबैच किस चीज का बना हुआ होगा? सीधा है। जब ये डीप इंगुइनल रिंग है तो ये डीप इंगुइनल रिंग किस में है? फेशिया ट्रांसवर्स। ये डीप इंगुइनल रिंग है तो यहां मैं हाथ लगाऊंगा तो किस चीज को हाथ लगा रहा हूं? फेशिया ट्रांसवर्सलिस को बने। और ये क्या होगा इस वक्त? यहां पर इंगुइनल कैनाल का एक्चुअली पोस्टीरियर वॉल होगा, और पोस्टीरियर वॉल में से पीछे, उसके पीछे क्या होगा? एक्स्ट्रापेरिडियल फैट, और उसके पीछे पैराइटल, और उसके पीछे विसरा। और विसरा अगर पुश करेंगे तो ये थोड़ा सा बम्प आ जाएगा। तो बम्प अगर आ जाएगा और ये पोस्टीरियर वॉल ऑफ इंगुइनल कैनाल है तो वो बम्प किस में आ गया? इंगुइनल कैनाल में। तो सीधा क्यों नहीं कहते हर्निया हो गया? लेकिन वो हर्निया कहां है? वो हर्निया थी जो भी इंगुइनल डीप इंगुइनल रिंग से एंटर होगा वो समझ लो कि वो स्पर्मेटोकार्ड का कंटेंट बन जाएगा। तो उधर हर्निया बन रही है स्पर्मेटोकार्ड का कंटेंट। क्यों बन रही है? क्योंकि पहले से ही प्रोसेस वजाइनलिस खुला रह गया है। वो इनडायरेक्ट इंगुइनल हर्निया है। दैट इमर्जेस बिलो। तो इसका मकसद है कि दैट इमर्जेस आउटसाइड द हेज़लबैच कैनाल, बट द डायरेक्ट विल एक्चुअली बी पुशिंग इन दी ट्रायंगल हियर। वो स्पर्मेटोकार्ड का कंटेंट होगी आपकी इंगुइनल हर्निया। वो इंगुइनल हर्निया तो शायद बाद में हो, पहले तो आएगा वाटर जानिया, पहले तो हो जाएगी हाइड्रोसील। और वो बाय बर्थ आपको पता है, सिंस बर्थ होती है, और ये होती है लेट। देखो तो this will be actually important. But you see this blood vessels here, this is called here inferior epigastric superior, means central part of abdomen has been supplied. As far as your lateral side of the abdomen is concerned, you know that the intercostal arteries which are actually coming from behind, these are called the posterior intercostal arteries. These are branches of the aorta. You see that bilaterally posterior intercostal arteries, and one is the subcostal also. And you already know that some you can say some 8 and 9, you see there's some intercostal arteries will start. You see the two intercostal, upper two behind, you see upper two posterior intercostal arteries. These are branches indirectly of the subclavian, that is superior intercostal. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 means 9 intercostal arteries. Posteriorly, they are the branches directly of bilaterally from aorta, and the last one subcostal also. And after that, segmentally arteries up to where the aorta finishes here. Aorta finishes the lower part of the L4. That means up to L4, lumbar arteries will also be coming out of the aorta. And if you see the arteries when they are coming here, posterior intercostal arteries, with the posterior intercostal arteries, you say, sir, okay, up to posterior intercostal arteries they will be supplying your posterior body wall, because anteriorly they are actually anastomosing with what? With the anterior intercostal arteries. And anterior intercostal arteries, they are hardly 9 in number, because intercostal space doesn't reach. You see that here intercostal 6 intercostal spaces reach up to, आपने देखा ना, यहाँ से 6 intercostal spaces तो स्टर्नम तक रुकती हैं, 7वीं इंटरकास्टल यहां खत्म होती है, 8वीं इधर खत्म होती है। नवीं इधर खत्म होती है। अगर 9th यहां तक खत्म हो जाती है और 10th इधर है यहां पर, तो आपको 10th इंटरकास्टल आर्टरीज में से एंटीरियर इंटरकास्टल आर्टरी की तो जरूरत ही नहीं है, फिर वहां आपके लिए एक पोस्टीरियरली सफिशिएंट है। कौन सी? 9th इंटरकास्टल आर्टरी, हार्डली ऑन द पोस्टीरियर साइड। 10th it will now appear here in the abdomen also, means lower intercostal arteries will actually be coming into the abdomen also. You can see these arteries, you see that this is now the artery for example, you can say hardly this is your 11th intercostal artery, and the last year this will be okay, this will be 10th also, even 11th also. So last intercostal, posterior intercostal arteries, they can also supply the lateral part of your abdomen, upper lateral part of your abdomen, and lower lateral part of your abdomen will be supplied by the equivalents of your intercostal arteries. This time you will not call them intercostals, but you will call them lumbar arteries. They are also segmental, but you call them the lumbar arteries. So here you can say lower intercostal arteries. That means in the abdominal supply, in the intra-abdominal wall, you can divide them into the central portion, you can divide in the lateral portion. As far as your central portion is concerned, upper part of the central portion supplied by superior epigastric, and lower part of the central portion by the inferior. Lateral portion, upper part of the lateral portion is supplied here by the lower intercostals, posterior lower intercostal, not anterior, posterior. This is lower posterior intercostal arteries, and the lower lateral is supplied here by the lumbar arteries. So lumbar arteries will supply them. But the lumbar arteries, okay, they will supply lateral portion. But as far your lower portion is concerned, closer here to your inguinal ligament, this time it will be actually supplied here by one of the branches coming from your, from again the external iliac artery. Just before being the femoral artery, the external iliac will actually give here a deeper branch that is called deep circumflex iliac artery. So this will be called as what? Deep circumflex. This is dotted, I am actually showing you. This is called the deep circumflex iliac. This is the portion, this is the artery that has been actually supplied by this here. This is the supply that is called the blood supply, the arterial supply of your abdomen or the anterior abdominal wall is this. Means you can say in the lateral side, above lateral and below lateral, central, above central and below central, and this lower one that is actually here supplied here by the deep circumflex. And these are the arteries which are actually seen. This is the blood supply of. So that means if you have some incision here, for example, for the repair of inguinal hernia. Now, we are not actually giving you here the blood supply just for remembering. We are giving you this is some clinical significance. Clinical significance here is if, for example, you are doing here the repair of hernia, that is called the herniorrhaphy, inguinal herniorrhaphy. You see that if you are actually cutting here this artery, for example, if you are cutting this various layers of the muscles here, you see that you might have some hematoma, you might have some excessive bleeding, and this excessive bleeding is mostly because of deep circumflex iliac. Why? Because this circumflex iliac is lying in this region, and we will tell you that here some nerves can be injured also, and we will tell you that what these nerves, how and which nerves will be injured here. But watch here this, and here watching these collaterals also. So this is something that is called the arterial supply of the anterior abdominal wall. But if you are looking at the veins now, you see venous drainage of your anterior abdominal wall. This is again very important. Now as far as your veins are concerned, already you know that veins in every region, there are superficial veins and the deep veins. These two things are important here. As far as your deep veins are concerned, if you are actually looking at this, deep veins are almost same names as your arteries are there. Understand? If I am actually giving you here the artery that is called the superior epigastric artery, so here should be the superior epigastric vein. So this is superior epigastric vein. And superior epigastric vein, if you remember, superior epigastric artery was the branch of internal thoracic. So superior epigastric vein should also be the of the tributary of internal thoracic vein. And another tributary should be musculopharynx. If this internal thoracic, so internal thoracic should enter into what? Brachiocephalic or subclavian? So this will be entering into subclavian vein, and you know that the subclavian vein joins with the internal jugular vein always in both the sides, either left or right, drains into internal jugular vein. When the internal jugular vein and subclavian veins they join, bigger vein is formed, and this is called brachiocephalic vein. This is called brachiocephalic on both sides, similarly symmetrical. This is not actually in case of arteries. In arteries, when brachiocephalic trunk is formed only on the right side, but the left side subclavian separately opens in the arch of aorta. But here this is what we call here this one is called brachiocephalic vein. And similarly other brachiocephalic vein should also be present in the other side also. And these two brachiocephalic veins should join together. Either this is here you see right side and this is here left side. Either left should come to join the right or right should come to join the left. What will happen? Or both should actually join together in the center to form a V. Left should join the right. Always you know that. Why? Because the right atrium is on the right side. Every right actually doesn't have to move anywhere because right atrium is almost in the line. But the left has to travel a long way. This is actually right to left shunts already you have seen. So this is what we call here this. So this will actually be very long left brachiocephalic vein that will join with the right brachiocephalic to form the big one, the superior vena cava. Means your central portion of your upper part of the abdomen deeply drains into the superior vena cava indirectly. Understand? This will be. But when you are actually going here into the inferior epigastric vein, if you are looking at this, and both are the contents of your rectus sheath also, inferior epigastric vein here. So they both are the contents, and they both are actually joined with each other through the collaterals also. A kind of a collateral circulation is developed here. How? So you see this inferior epigastric vein. An inferior epigastric artery was a branch of the external iliac artery. So this will be the tributary of external iliac vein, which was actually the continuation of femoral. And here this is external iliac vein. And external iliac vein, this on which side you see, like this way. Here brachiocephalic here. So this is now external iliac vein, and external iliac will join with the internal iliac to form common iliac. Common iliac this side also. Both common iliacs join, just like internal jugular, just like brachiocephalic. Equal to what? You see that if I am telling you here femoral then external iliac, you can consider who comes from the limb? Femoral. Who becomes now external iliac? Femoral continuation. What will be equivalent here? Who comes from limb? Axillary. And who will become subclavian? Axillary is continuation. So if it here is femoral, here is axillary. It will become now, you see that crossing your inguinal ligament here, crossing your first rib there, becoming external iliac, becoming subclavian, joins with the artery that is coming, actually vein that is coming from above, from your head and neck and brain, internal jugular, coming from your internal structures like your pelvis and perineum, this is the internal iliac, joining together to form here, both of them will form here a brachiocephalic, here it will become common iliac. On both sides? Yes, on both sides. Common iliac. This will be actually your right common iliac, this will be your left common iliac. Both should join. Both should join means what they will do, either right will go to join with the left to become common iliac, or for example this left common iliac will join with the right common iliac to become, for example, the single big vein, and big vein single means here it was superior vena cava, so here it will be inferior vena cava. So either right will go to the left or left will come to the right, or left has to travel a long way to join the right. What will happen? What happened above? Similar thing will happen below. So it will be left to right shunt means who will be larger? The left will be very larger. So where the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava will be formed? Left side or right side here? To right. And it will be so right here, you see that. and it will be now your superior vena cava. So that means it will be your superior vena cava, and the superior vena cava, sorry, inferior vena cava has been formed, and your superior inferior epigastric artery will be actually branch indirectly of this. Means it will be draining here like this here. But where it drains in the external iliac, okay. But the external iliac will be actually continuously coming to the common iliac, and common iliac join together to form the inferior vena cava. Means your inferior epigastric venous blood will finally be drained through a bigger vessel that is called the inferior vena cava. But the superior will drain into the superior vena cava. So that means if your superior vena cava problem is there, for example, there are obstruction in the superior vena cava. So all these veins will become dilated, and your blood will shift here through the lower veins and will come here to the inferior vena cava. Means your inferior vena cava and superior vena cava shunting is actually through a very important alternative pathway had been offered to you here like this event. If you have got any problem here, your inferior vena cava blockade is there, blood will actually run through the rectus sheath, through that anastomos and collaterals, and will reach here and will be pouring itself into the superior vena cava. At least it will actually be poured into the right atrium. So this is again inferior and superior vena cava communication is in the rectus sheath. So rectus sheath is important from this point of view also. Understand? So these are the veins which are the deep veins here. But at the same time, you know that you have got the certain other deep veins also, like posterior intercostal veins, and posterior intercostal, lower posterior intercostal veins. They will be actually draining back again into azygous veins. On the right side, azygous directly. On the left side, the lower hemiazygous, inferior hemiazygous, but the inferior hemiazygous finally will drain to the superior hemiazygous. I say finally drain into the azygous. And azygous, you know that it drains into the back of your superior vena cava. Superior vena cava has been drained now. As far as your lumbar veins are concerned, so you have got posterior intercostal veins, just like arteries. And here are lumbar veins. And lumbar veins will be the tributaries of inferior vena cava directly. Understand? And you see the first lumbar vein already has the ascending branch of the first lumbar vein that will form here the hemiazygous. And you see ascending branch of your ascending lumbar vein that will join with the subcostal vein to form the azygous also. So it is partly draining into the azygous and partly draining directly into the inferior vena cava. So it is draining into the inferior vena cava, and at the same time you have got here this deep circumflex iliac vein also. This is also, all this is what you call here the deep veins. We call them the deep veins. It's just like a copy of the arteries. But we have not just the deep veins, we have superficial veins also. Because every region has the superficial veins and the deep veins. You have already seen the lower limb, great saphenous, small saphenous, but the deep also, vena committens and others, popliteal vein and femoral. You have seen in the upper limb also. There was superficial veins, cephalic and basilic, at the same time vena committens and brachial, and then the axillary. You will see here actually in the neck also, you have got the internal jugular venous system, at the same time you have got the superficially external jugular venous system also. Even in the brain also, we have got sinuses superficially, deeper are the veins. So in all regions you have got these things here, and similarly in the abdomen as well. And similarly in the abdomen you will see deep veins already you have seen, and now the superficial veins. And all these superficial veins, in fact, they are emerging around the umbilicus like a star. Star-like radiating veins are there. You see this. This has been shown on one side. Okay, I am showing you on the other side also. This is on one side we have shown, but you can see the other side to make a star. Just like a star. You can divide that actually, this star-like veins, you can divide them into 4 portions. Midline already present. One horizontal line you are actually bringing here like also. Above the umbilicus, this area. Below the umbilicus, these veins. This is on one side, symmetrically on the other side also. So these superficial veins above the umbilicus, they will drain here into your axilla. Superficial veins below the umbilicus, they will drain here into the inguinal region. And these are the veins, so they will drain where? They will drain actually into the superficially veins which are present in the walls. And here present in the walls is one of the tributaries of your axillary vein. And if you remember, there was long thoracic nerve, and running along with the long thoracic nerve, there was one vein, one artery, okay? Lateral thoracic artery. So one vein also. Lateral thoracic vein. This is the tributary of axillary vein. So if this is running here, why not we are draining itself into this. So that means above the umbilicus, these superficial radiating veins will drain into axillary, will drain into lateral thoracic. So you are actually draining into the lateral thoracic, you watch here. So what is actually coming from here? So these veins are draining into this. This is called lateral thoracic vein. And these lateral thoracic veins, you know that these lateral thoracic veins drain into the axillary. And axillary, you know that it is draining into the subclavian. It is becoming subclavian. And subclavian will form here and joins with the internal jugular vein to form the brachiocephalic, to join together to form superior vena cava. Means above your umbilicus, the things will indirectly draining into superior vena cava. But below the umbilicus, if they are actually draining down into the inguinal region, so if any superficial vein is available there, they will drain into this. Which superficial vein comes here? Superficial epigastric vein. If you remember, as you say, your great saphenous vein was having 3 superficial veins, which were running along with the superficial arteries. Okay, if the 3 superficial veins were there, one coming here into the epigastric region here, this is called a superficial epigastric. One was turning around and going here to your inguinal region, as to your anterosubilic spine, superficial circumflex iliac, and one was going here to the external genitalia, called superficial external pudendal. One was going deep. Okay, it was called deep external pudendal, but this was here. So this is one of very important vein which is actually present here. This is called superficial epigastric. So below the umbilicus, these radiating veins, they drain into superficial epigastric. Superficial epigastric is the tributary of what? Great saphenous vein. This is it. Great saphenous vein. And great saphenous vein, everybody knows, is the tributary of femoral. Femoral will go actually to become continuous with the external iliac. External iliac will join with the internal iliac to form now the two common join together to form your inferior vena cava. Means below the umbilicus, the things in fact being superficial, but they are draining into the inferior vena cava. So a kind of superior inferior vena cava collection is present here also. This is something that is called the superficial things which are actually draining like this also. But this superficial means the veins which are radiating like a star. तो आप इन्हीं वेन्स को देखेंगे तो ये वेन सिर्फ यहाँ ऐसे ही नहीं है. इन वेन का अम्बलाइकस के अंदर एक और कनेक्शन है लिवर के साथ, जो इस वक्त यहाँ पर आपको मैंने ब्रोकन करके ऐसे दिखाया. ये लिवर को ज्वाइन कर रही हैं. इन वेन्स को हम कहते हैं पैरा अम्बलाइकल वेन्स. ये आपको आगे चल के मैं बताऊंगा जब हम लिवर में आएंगे. बट यू कॉल देम पैरा अम्बलाइकल वेन्स. सो दीज आर कॉल्ड द पैरा अम्बलाइकल वेन्स. So paraumbilical veins, in fact, they are giving a kind of a alternative pathway into what? Into the liver. And they are joining in the liver or just outside the liver with a very big vein here. This vein's name is the portal vein. And this is called the portal vein. This vein which I am actually showing you is the portal vein. And portal vein, you know that it is giving or it is bringing deoxygenated blood from your entire GIT. Entire GIT means, I tell you that entire GIT except its two extremities, means from mouth up to your esophagus, I say half of esophagus, from mouth up to half of esophagus, it is not the portal blood. In your anal canal, lower half of the anal canal, this is not portal. Remaining everything is portal. Means remaining all the blood, you know that the blood which when it leaves your any organ, it runs into the veins, and veins when leave the organ should either enter into the inferior vena cava or should enter into the superior vena cava. This is rule, but this is not law, because here in GIT and at one or two other places also, especially in GIT, all the organs, जितने भी organs हैं ना, आप esophagus का lower half यानी समझ लो esophagus के lower 6-7 इंच छोड़ के यहाँ से कट लगाओ, ऊपर वाले को छोड़ दो. ये चेंज फिर कोई स्टमक भी 1 फुट का होगा, डिडिनम 1 फुट का, 20 फीट लंबा स्मॉल इंटेस्टीन, ऐसे ही 8-10 फुट का लार्ज इंटेस्टीन पे एनल कैनाल होगा. ये आपको 30 फीट के जो लंबे इंटेस्टीन और जीआईटी है ना आपका गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टिनल ट्रैक्ट, एनल कैनाल के आधे तक, लोअर हाफ नहीं, ये सारा का सारा जितना ब्लड है, ऑल डीऑक्सीनेटेड ब्लड व्हेन इट्स कमिंग थ्रू एक्चुअली डजन्स ऑफ द वेन्स, फाइनली डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली दे शुड ड्रेन इनटू द पोर्टल वेन. Okay, portal vein means leaving the organ, the veins are not entering into the superior inferior vena cava. Entering into the portal vein, okay, no problem. Portal vein, just like inferior and superior vena cava, this portal vein should actually carry this blood into the heart. into your right atrium? Yes or no? Because all the blood which is leaving the organ should first be reporting to the right atrium of the heart through some veins. But the portal vein, instead of going to the heart directly, will enter into another organ. आपका घर का गंदा पानी वासा के गंदे पानी में जाना चाहिए, वो कहीं भी ले जाएं। या कभी ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपके घर का गंदा पानी किसी और के घर में दाखिल हो जाए, यानी गंदा पानी एक घर से निकल के दूसरे घर में, कभी ऐसा सुना है आपने? कभी नहीं। यहां है ऐसा। मीन्स इट लीव्स द ऑर्गन, all the organs, and it enters into another organ, and this another organ is the liver. Means one organ to other organ, means there must be some vein which should in fact connect the two organs, should transport the blood between one organ to the other organ. So you should call it the transportal vein, nickname portal vein. ठीक है ना, उसको प्यार से हम कह देते हैं पोर्टल वेन। बड़ा जबरदस्त काम कर रही है। आपने ऐसा क्यों, इसको इतना क्यों हमने अपने सर पे चढ़ाया हुआ है? जीआईटी को ले लेते, उसको सीधा डाल देते, सारी दुनिया का ब्लड उधर ही जाता है, ब्रेन का भी उधर ही जाता है। गंदा ब्लड निकालो और डाल दो उसके अंदर। इसमें इसलिए डाल देते हैं बिकॉज इट इज नॉट जस्ट द ब्लड, इट इज नॉट जस्ट डीऑक्सीनेटेड ब्लड, इट इज कंटेनिंग द प्रोडक्ट्स ऑफ डाइजेशन आल्सो। सर क्या है इसमें? ग्लूकोज ही तो डायरेक्ट डाल देते हैं। भाई ग्लूकोज तो है, लेकिन अमाइनो एसिड भी तो है, और अमाइनो एसिड में बिग नाइट्रोजन बम लगा हुआ है, एन। और अमाइनो एसिड में आपको पता है NH2, एन। उस एन का बड़ा गर्क करना था पहले, वरना वो आपका बड़ा गर्क कर देगा। और एन आपको पता है कि द नाइट्रोजन हैज टू बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू यूरिया। यूरिया मींस इट शुड बी यूरिया साइकिल देयर, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट हैज टू बी एक्चुअली ब्रिंग बैक हियर फर्स्ट टू द लिवर। तो लिवर में यू एक्चुअली पुट देम इनटू द लिवर हियर, and after the liver has to filter it, will have to actually metabolize, will have to clean this blood, and then okay, now is the responsibility of the liver to put it into into either superior vena cava or inferior vena cava. Who's there? Inferior vena cava. So it will enter into the inferior vena cava, and immediately enter inferior vena cava after receiving the last time the blood of your liver. It will never talk with anybody. Immediately it will pour its blood into the right atrium. आपको पता है ना? इंफीरियर वेना के बाद तो थोरेक्स में आती ही नहीं है, वो जैसे ही थोरेक्स में से डायफ्राम को क्रॉस करती है वो एकदम से सुपीरियर वेना केवा में। तो आपको पता है इंफीरियर वेना केवा इज नेवर पार्ट ऑफ द मीडियास्टिनम, क्योंकि वो मीडियास्टिनम में ट्रेवल ही नहीं करती। ट्रेवल नहीं करती तो फिर कैसे आप ऐसे काटें, आप लिवर ऐसे ऐसे हार्ड को पकड़ के देखेंगे तो सुराख उसका इंफीरियर वेना केवा का मौजूद होगा, पर इंफीरियर वेना केवा इज नेवर अमंग द कंटेंट्स ऑफ इवन द मिडिल मीडियास्टिनम। तो उसका भी कंटेंट नहीं है, यानी वो तो ट्रेवल ही नहीं करती किसी भी सूरत में थोरेक्स में। उसका काम था बस डायफ्राम को पेनिट्रेट करे, यही बहुत है। इसने इतना इंतजार किया ही इसलिए था कि लिवर में इसको आखिर में पोर्टल उसकी हेपेटिक वेन्स मिले, बस वो मिल गई 3 वेन्स, बात खत्म। ये लास्ट ट्राइब्यूटरीज जो हैं इंफीरियर वेना केवा हैज 3 हेपेटिक वेन्स व्हिच विल कंटेन नाउ प्योर ब्लड, बट इट विल बी डीऑक्सीजनेटेड, will actually contain more carbon dioxide because it has actually collected the carbon dioxide of the liver also. Not just this full GIT, but the liver also. It will be more deoxygenated, but it will be now having less impurities, like it will not have the nitrogen, it will not have the toxic substances and other poisons it will not have, because it has been already purified here. Understand? So this will be actually here. If for example, portal vein of you have liver has some problem, and portal vein is actually obstructed, and the portal vein is obstructed, so drainage of your GIT will be now free or it will be obstructed. If it will obstructed, so your portal vein will have normal pressure or more pressure. You say portal hypertension. When the portal hypertension, so all, for example, dozens of the tributaries of your portal vein, they will remain same or will be dilated and tortuous. If they are dilated and tortuous, so just they will be, you see, dozens of the tributaries of the portal vein, just be their tributaries will be dilated or tortuous, or this collateral which is called the paraumbilical veins, which are in fact connected here to your superficial veins around your umbilicus, will this be collapsed? Otherwise it is usually collapsed. But if the portal hypertension is there, will it remain collapsed or it will open up? Open up only when there is portal hypertension, otherwise remains collapsed. So when it remains opened here, for example, so your radiating veins around the umbilicus, they will remain invisible like they are today, or they will become visible now. Just dilated and visible, or tortuous and visible. Such thing is called the star like veins will be visible. We call them the caput, we call it the caput medusae. This is called, so these will be dilated and tortuous. Around the umbilicus you will see, and if the tortuous and the dilated veins you will see around the umbilicus like in a star-like fashion, you will call this condition as caput medusae. You call them caput medusae. So Caput Medusae is a sign. A sign of what? What this has happened? Portal hypertension, and portal hypertension is usually due to the cirrhosis of liver. Understand? So we have got, yes, so visibly this will be present. Those such type of things in dilated and tortuous veins will be present inside also. In your abdomen also, but I will tell you that where they will be present, only in the abdominal cavity. I will not actually just rush into and will tell you that these things are present in esophagus, lower anal canal also. They are present, but here, though this is not fatal, for example, this is not lethal, but internal such veins will be very, very fatal. They are very fatal, and if they will rupture. So inside they can rupture. Here they don't rupture, but at least they will give you a sign. Why this has happened? Why? Because portal vein is hypertension and blood has actually shifted through this channel. Which channel? Paraumbilical veins into the superficial. So paraumbilical vein. ऐसे नहीं होगा ना बाबा कि पोर्टल वेन में हाइपरटेंशन हो गई तो ये हो जाएंगी, खुल जाएंगी. क्यों खुलेंगी? क्योंकि कम्युनिकेशन है उनके साथ. कौन कम्युनिकेट कर रहा है उनको? पैराम्बिलिकल वेन्स. पहले क्यों नहीं खुल रही थी? क्योंकि वो कोलैप्स थी, वो कोलेटल्स थे, वो कोलैप्स होते हैं. ये खुलते तब हैं. तो अब जो इसके अंदर रहे सिस्टमिक ब्लड, अब के बाद सिस्टमिक होगा कि पोर्टल ब्लड भी आ जाएगा इसके अंदर. समझ गए? तो ये पोर्टल और सिस्टमिक के बीच में एनास्टोमोसिस है एक तरह से. Understand? So from veins point of view, it's very important because questions they come here. Now another thing will be if you are actually going here into the lymphatics now. अब देखो मैंने इसको ये किया है कि अब थोड़ा सा आपको नजर आ रहा होगा, थोड़ा सा समझ में आ रहा है ना कि ये क्या है. ये बॉडी दिखाई है, ये आगे हाफ ये दिखाया, हाफ ये दिखाया है. समझ में आ गया होगा ना आपको. ये पोस्टीरियर हाफ है एंड दिस इज एंटीरियर हाफ. दिस इज ग्लूटल रीजन, दिस इज स्क्रोटम. अंडरस्टैंड? दो डायग्राम इसलिए क्योंकि पीछे जा नहीं सके क्योंकि जगह थी नहीं. So this is now anterior and this is posterior. In the anterior also you can divide them into the two just like veins, just like superficial veins. So superficial veins means right from umbilicus, above the umbilicus the anterior abdominal wall structures will drain their lymphatics here into this, means axillary, because the superficial veins were draining themselves into the lateral thoracic vein. A lateral thoracic vein, and lateral thoracic vein was a tributary of your axillary. So if the lateral thoracic vein, so lymphatics run along with the lateral thoracic, so they will join axillary. Which axillary? Anterior, posterior, lateral. Lateral तो ये होगा, इधर किधर जाएगी. अब lateral कौन सा होता है? Lateral will be very close here to the axillary vein. You are coming from the body wall. If you are coming from the body wall, so you will be actually running in a group of lymph nodes that is lying here closer to the inferior border of pectoralis minor muscle. You call the very important group is the anterior axillary lymph nodes. You call them pectoral lymph nodes, which is the major blood lymphatic drainage of your breast also. Pectoral lymph nodes. You say it is pectoral lymph nodes. So you are watching here. This is what you call them what? Pectoral lymph nodes. So above your, but along with which lymphatics will run along with which veins? Along with the lateral thoracic vein, draining along with it, draining where? In the anterior pectoral. We call them, this is called the anterior axillary lymph nodes. Anterior axillary or pectoral. Anterior axillary, other name is the pectoral. We don't call them anterior pectoral. We call them pectoral or anterior axillary. This will be like here. As a major lymphatic drainage of the rest of the main part of the breast also. Number one, if you are actually bringing this lymphatic drainage from below the umbilicus in the anterior abdominal wall, going down here. Down means where? Inguinal lymph nodes. Superficial or deep? Superficial. So they drain into the superficial inguinal lymph nodes. Superficial inguinal lymph nodes were having here a horizontal group and were having a vertical group. So horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. But horizontal was having a left half, you say medial half and lateral half. So medial half or lateral half? Medial half. So this will actually training into the medial half of means this one. Understand? So below the umbilicus, this will drain here into medial half of the horizontal group of the superficial inguinal lymph nodes here, and that was running here into the anterior pectoral lymph nodes here. Understand? This is superficial lymph nodes I am telling you. But if, for example, it was deep inguinal lymph nodes, I say it was a deep lymph nodes of your anterior abdominal wall, upper one will run along with your superior epigastric and lower one will run along with your inferior epigastric vein. So upper one will run along with the superior epigastric vein, so where they will finally drain? Paratracheal or parasternal? How is it paratracheal? Paratrachea is here, trachea stops here. So this will be parasternal lymph nodes. If for example parasternal, but if their lower one will actually be draining here, they will drain here, so they will be parasternal lymph nodes. And the lower one, they will drain into the external iliac lymph nodes. They will run into external iliac lymph nodes. But at the same time, you have got this or you have a intercostal veins also. Lower intercostal veins. If the lower intercostal veins are there, so they are running back here. Intercostal, they are running in your wall, and wall will come here in the aorta or will go to the thoracic cage. If you go run in the thoracic cage, so in the thoracic cage they are running into and they are going into the mediastinum. And posterior will drain where finally? Posterior intercostal vein drain where? In which veins? Which system? Azygous system. And azygous system is lying where? In the posterior mediastinum. So we have the posterior mediastinal lymph nodes which are present. A very important lymph nodes group. It's called the posterior important lymph nodes. So they are draining into posterior mediastinal lymph nodes. And lumbar will drain where? Para-aortic lymph nodes. They will drain into the para-aortic. So para-aortic lymph nodes, posterior mediastinal lymph nodes, they will go into the para-external. They are going down to the external iliac. At the same time, they are draining here your pectoral, and they are going into the medial group of your horizontal in the understand. So they are the lymphatic drainage right from superficial or in the deep group. They are draining in these lymphatics also. This is cardiac. But if you are actually returning back on the back side, on the back side, you divide them into the two things here. Two means upper part and lower part. If the upper part, if I am telling you, then which line will divide? This line. Means above what and below what? This was above umbilicus and below umbilicus if you are in the anterior side. Above iliac crest and below iliac crest. If it is above iliac crest, your drainage will be on the back side here in this group of lymph nodes. Which group? Posterior axillary. Or subscapular. The posterior wall of your axilla is formed by what? Subscapular muscle. So it is called group that is called the subscapular group. Not lateral. Lateral was here. Lateral was draining actually your upper limb. All these three groups will go up here to drain into the central, and central was within the fate here, and this will go into the apical, and this will actually go into subclavian trunk. So this is what we call here the lymphatic drainage of your of your anterior as well as the posterior part of your abdominal wall. Now, as far your nerves are concerned, you see that the nerves are we have got 12 thoracic nerves, and their anterior rami are called intercostal nerves. And intercostal nerves, you know that they are running in the second and third layer, not just in the thorax but in the abdomen also. Because in the thorax you have got external oblique, external intercostal, internal intercostal, and transverse thoracic. Similar way, like here down there. You see, if for example, if I am telling you, like if this is now your, here it was your thorax, here is the abdomen. Muscles are same, you see. If I am actually telling you your muscle. Which one? External intercostal. External muscle, the first layer. And if you see the second layer, it was from reverse, like for example. Like for example, you see, okay. Okay, this was here. And the last was transverse thoracic down, third one. Understood? This was here. Now, if for example, I am telling you here, in this portion, here was the rib. Understood? So here are the ribs, but here are not. If here are the ribs, now you can say here everything will be like a, for example, it is a one muscle, it is like here, another muscle will be this way, and another is this. You call them intercostal. Because intervening it was rib. Here is not. So due to the shape or due to the direction of the fibers, their names are there. Because here we can't call them intercostal, but we call them external oblique because fibers are oblique. Next was the fibers for oblique, you see internal oblique. But the third fibers they are transverse, you call them fascia. You call them transverse abdominis. Because the fascia was underneath that, this is called the fascia transverse. This is because of this. And above you have got the external intercostal, then internal intercostal, then transverse thoracic, then thoracic fascia. We call them endothoracic fascia. Then extraperitoneal fate down there. Here we don't call the extraperitoneal fate, but fate is there. Last thing will be the parietal peritoneum there. Here will be parietal pleura. Then is the cavity there. Peritoneal cavity with the fluid. Here cavity, pleural cavity. Then the fluid. Then is the visceral pleura Because here the space is very small, though we don't call them pleural cavity, you call them pleural space. And then will be the viscera, visceral pleura, and then will be the viscera, and viscera incidentally here is the lung, and here will be your GIT. Same layers are there. Outside will be 9 layers, same 9 layers, here will be 9 layers also. Means 9 layers have to be traveled here to reach now the pleural space to recover the pleural fluid, that is called the pleural tap, or you can call it the thoracentesis, but here we call them paracentesis. Understand? So this will be actually something here. So all your muscles, right from above downward, they will be supplied here by your intercostal nerves. And these intercostal nerves which will be actually present here, these are the anterior rami of your nerves. And these nerves, you see that upper nerves, they are almost horizontal. Understand? So upper nerves will be almost horizontal. You see first nerve is there, the second little oblique, third little more and more. Sixth will remain confined within your thoracic cage. But when I am actually bringing here the seventh, you see seventh comes here. Eighth comes. Initially, eighth will be between, you see that, between the eighth and the ninth rib, being the intercostal, but later on it appears here into the abdomen. Ninth here. 10th will be this. 11th is then the 12th is subcostal will finish here. So shape of your, direction of your nerves will be like here. You see this will be in the region of your epigastrium, here will be 7th. 8th is here. 9th is here. Means if you are actually having a pain here in the epigastrium, means this pain basically is being transferred or being transported here via 7th thoracic nerve. Means it is knocking at the door of your spinal cord in the which segment? 7th. That's why brain is giving you pain back here into this region. Irrespective of the fact whether this organ where there is a problem is lying under this or not. Even if the heart is lying here, you can pain be here. Why? Because the pain carrying fibers of the heart, they are being traveling here through your autonomic nerves, but entering into the 7th segment, 7th thoracic segment. And it is actually informing the brain, and brain is bringing back pain here into the region of heart. No, it's in the region of the 7th thoracic nerve. And 7th thoracic nerve is actually be traveling here. That's why you feel the pain here. And you will be thinking maybe you are having some epigastric pain, but actually it is a myocardial infarction. Maybe it is angina. This is angina. Angina pain can be felt here into this epigastric region. Sometimes you see that people eat something and angina starts, they think that they have some indigestion. So they go for a walk. Outside you see that with 100 feet distant from their houses, they actually fall down. This was a heart attack. A heart attack is felt here. And sometimes it is going here into your cervical region, sometimes it is felt here into the angle of your mandible. And you are thinking that you have got some third molar pain probably. You go to the dental department. And you see that they sometimes even start treating you also. Because they don't know that it is actually referred pain. This was a heart attack basically. This was angina pain. This was felt here. Because here spinal nerves also go. Because not whole face is supplied by your cranial nerves. Little part of your face. This one little part is supplied here by your spinal nerve also. Cervical nerves. Because some of your pain carrying fibers enter into your neck. Why? Because heart was living initially in the neck. That's why the initial fibers will go into the सर्वाइकल सेगमेंट. वो जो सर्वाइकल सेगमेंट में जाएंगे क्योंकि वो उनका पुराना घर जो था उधर था ना इंडिया में, तो जाहिर है वो जब यहाँ बीमार होंगे तो उधर भी थोड़ा सा फीलिंग होगी क्योंकि उन लोगों ने वहां घुसेड़ दिए थे अपने नर्व. ये तो नीचे आ गया, नर्व तो उधर ही रुकी हुई है. अब इसके एक खास हिस्से का पेन यहां जाता है और यहां जाके जब ब्रेन को बताएगा तो ब्रेन का पेन क्या हार्ट में करेगा क्या या एपिगेस्ट्रियम में करेगा, वो इधर करेगा. वो पेन यहां होगा, यहां मस लेंगे आप, वो पेन आपको होगा, ये रिफर्ड पेन है. रिफर्ड पेन ऐसे धोखेबाज होते हैं कि आपको आपकी सोच से भी ज्यादा, और डॉक्टर को धोखा हो जाता है. वो डॉक्टर वो डेंटल सर्जन कहता है हाँ इसका हो जाएगा, इसके आरसीटी कर देते हैं इसको. वो फिर आरसीटी करने के लिए उसको एनेस्थीसिया देना शुरू कर देता है. उसको पता है बड़ा घरक हो रहा है उसका, वो टेबल पे मरेगा, लेकिन शुरू कर देते हैं. वो कौन गाहक छोड़ेगा, वो कहेगा वैसे ही घर जाके मरेगा तो वैसे ही, क्यों नहीं आखिरी फीस ले लूँ मैं इससे. आपको पता है डॉक्टर ऐसे दुकान थोड़ी खोल के बैठे हुए हैं, क्योंकि हमें सिर्फ डॉक्टरी पढ़ाई जाती है, अखलाकियात पढ़ाई नहीं जाती है. और हमारे माशरे का सबसे बड़ा, वो कहते हैं ना, हमारे माशरे का सबसे बड़ा जो अलमिया है ना वो अखलाकियात है, माशियात नहीं है. गरीब हम हैं नहीं, बद अखलाक हम इंतहा दर्जे के. यानी यूँ समझो मरते हुए आदमी से भी फी लेने के लिए हम चूकते नहीं हैं. यानी हमारे माशरे के अखलाकियात का जनाजा निकल चुका है। मैं तो कहता हूँ इसकी हमने बहुत सारी बरसियाँ भी मना दी हैं, लेकिन यह है कि फिर भी हम अपने आप को बहुत अखलाक वाले मुसलमान, वो पता नहीं क्या क्या बड़े नाम, इस किस्म के नाम। तो उमूमन हमारा माशी मसला है ही नहीं। माशी मसला होता ना तो अभी तक हम एक दूसरे को काट खाते, क्योंकि कहता हूँ ना कि एक समंदर और एक दरियाए सिंध, ये दो चीज़ें अल्लाह ताला ने ऐसी दे दी हैं जैसी अरबों को मक्का दे दिया है एक तरह से। और मक्का, अरब कभी भी भूखे नहीं मरेंगे। मतलब आधे लोग तो जाएंगे ना हज को, हज नहीं हुआ फिर भी आयशें करें, बस कहने का मकसद है कि वो सारी ज़िंदगी वो कमाते रहेंगे। वो अल्लाह ताला ने एक उनको ज़रिया दे दिया, और हमें भी ज़रिया दिया है मक्के की तरह। क्या? एक समंदर का किनारा इतना बड़ा और दूसरा दरिया से। ये जब तक बहता रहेगा तब तक हम भूखे नहीं रहेंगे अखलाक में, चाहे हम पस्ती में क्यों न चले जाएं। वो जो चले गए हैं इसमें कोई शक नहीं, इससे ज़्यादा पस्ती और क्या होगी। अब सी दिस विल बी एक्चुअली लाइक सो दीज आर दी इंटरकास्टल नर्व्स एंड दीज इंटरकास्टल नर्व्स आर गोइंग दिस विल सी दिस 7th going to epigastric region, little down 8th, little down 9th, and crossing your umbilicus region the 10th means if the 10th thoracic segment of your spinal cord has been informed here that there is a pain somewhere, the pain will be actually perceived by the brain, and it will give you the perception of the pain and the feel of the pain in the region of umbilicus. And one very good example is the appendix. Appendicular pain, actually the pain carrying fibers of the appendix, they travel here through the autonomic nerves, but they enter here and bring their sensory fibers into the 10th segment of the spinal cord, and from 10th segment it will be actually carried here to the brain, and the brain will give you the perception of the feel of the pain in the region of the 10th thoracic nerve, and 10th thoracic nerve in the region of umbilicus. That's why you feel the pain of your appendicitis basically in the umbilicus. It starts from umbilicus, but later on it will be felt in the region, but initially it starts from the umbilicus. Initially it starts from the umbilicus. So it is actually the 10th, and then is the 11th, then is the 12th. But because still their abdomen is still there, so one more nerve will be intervened, one more nerve will be called upon, and that will be the next nerve after the 12th, that is called the first lumbar. And first lumbar's which branch? First lumbar's anterior ramus, obviously, and anterior ramus, you know that first lumbar doesn't come itself, it forms a part of your lumbar plexus. And here this first nerve, first lumbar one, it is actually giving the two very important branches. One branch, this very long one, that is called the iliohypogastric, and one branch, you know that enters here, wanted to go along with this iliohypogastric, but because it was very close to the inguinal canal, and the inguinal canal is there very close to inguinal ligament, and close to that was the inguinal canal, so it was running the 2 and 3, so it was running in the foxinguinal fibers of the 2 and 3, so why not if the foxinguinal forming the roof of your inguinal canal, why not it will leave here and will join the inguinal canal, contained of inguinal canal. And when the inguinal canal will remain all the way, or it will actually reach up to the superficial inguinal ring only. Okay, who is coming out? Spermatic cord, so she will also come out. So that means this will actually be coming out. And we're coming out if the spermatic cord is going to the scrotum, because it has already come out, so it will be spreading over the skin of the scrotum. So lateral side of the scrotal skin will supplied here by ilioinguinal, and even if your medial side of the thigh also. So if you are hitting on the medial side of the thigh, L1 will be informed. If L1 is informed, there is a reflex arc. Means this is the efferent limb of the reflex arc, and here they are stimulating the anterior horn cells of your L1 segment of the spinal cord. And L1 segment of the spinal cord, the anterior horn, is actually running their fibers in your genital branch of genitofemoral, and that supplies the cremastric muscle. So if you are hitting your medial side, efferent limb will be the ilioinguinal, and there will be contraction of your cremastric muscle, and cremastric muscle will be pulled the testis up here, up to the level of at least superficial inguinal ring. Means the spermatic cord will be pulled up here, and pulled up means testis will actually be pulled up to the superficial inguinal ring. Inguinal ring तक आ जाएंगे. ये आपको प्रोटेक्शन भी मिल गई, और थोड़ी सी कंट्रैक्शन रिफ्लेक्सिवली अगर हो गई तो वो बॉडी के करीब भी आ गए, तो ये थर्मोरेगुलेटरी सिस्टम भी हो गया एक तरह से. लेकिन ये सिस्टम उमूमन यू सी दैट दिस विल बी अ रिफ्लेक्स, एंड रिफ्लेक्स इज मोर विगरस स्पेशली इन चिल्ड्रेन, बिकॉज इट कंडीशनल. हमें पता है ऐसे चोट लगने से इतना कुछ फायदा, इतना कुछ नुकसान होता नहीं है, तो ये कंडीशनल रिफ्लेक्सेस होते हैं. हम लोग समझ जाते हैं कि इससे इतना कुछ खास नुकसान नहीं होगा, ब्रेन समझ जाता है इतना नुकसान नहीं है. तो टाइम के साथ हम इस किस्म की हिटिंग की गीदड़ बबकियाँ समझ लेते हैं कि होगा कुछ भी नहीं ऐसे होने से, तो ये आस्ते आस्ता कंडीशनल रिफ्लेक्स है ना, तो आस्ते आस्ता स्लगिश हो जाता है. तो सीख जाता है कि ये ऐसे अफवाह है कि ऐसे चोट लगने से कोई टेस्टिस को नुकसान होता है, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. लेकिन बच्चों में क्योंकि अभी उसको इतनी अकल नहीं होती, इसलिए तो ये होते हैं conditional reflexes which actually be conditioned themselves according to the time. But there are certain unconditional reflexes, always they remain uniform. A light thrown into your pupil constrict. ये इवन मरण पैदा होने से इवन 100 साल भी आपकी ज़िंदगी होगी और 100 साल के बाद भी ऐसे पीपल को जब हम लाइट थ्रो करेंगे तो पीपल कंस्ट्रिक्ट करेगी. क्या कभी ऐसा होगा कि आप लाइट थ्रो करें पीपल कंस्ट्रिक्ट ना हो? कभी होगा? ऐसा हो सकता है, लेकिन फिर आपको डेड करार देंगे फिर, क्योंकि पीपल दोनों में डालेंगे और पीपल अगर कंस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं करती है, पीपल नॉट रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू दैट, मींस पीपल रिफ्लेक्स नॉट रिस्पॉन्डिंग ऑन बोथ साइड्स, मींस पेशेंट यूं समझ लो कि 80% कंफर्म्ड है कि ही इज डेड. उसके बाद आप उसके ब्रेथ साउंड्स देखिए, 1 मिनट तक सुने उसको, वो भी नहीं होंगे. हार्ट साउंड्स उसके सुने, वो भी नहीं होंगे. 1 मिनट तक सुनने हैं, क्योंकि आ जाते कभी वापस. जल्दी नहीं करें आप, क्योंकि कभी जल्दी करके आप डेथ सर्टिफिकेट दे देते हैं और वो जाके कब्र में उठ के खड़े हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि वो सही तरीके से मरे नहीं थे. वो करते हैं ना ऐसे, डॉक्टर जल्दी जल्दी में देखा नहीं हो रहा है, जल्दी करो बस यार, वैसे ही नहीं है रिफ्लेक्स, चलो जाओ. वो जल्दी उसको जल्दी करने में वो फिर खर्चा आ जाता है बहुत, फिर वापस आ जाना पड़ता है. Understood? So this is what we call here. So that means this is the area. If for example you have got, you see, if for example you have here a hypogastric, for a cesarean section, you have got a hypogastric incision in the hypogastric region here, suprapubic. The nerve that will be injured is the hypogastric. It is called ilio-hypogastric. This will be ilio-hypogastric. But if you are actually having here, for example, the problem you see that is the ilioinguinal in the McBurney's point, again the nerve will be iliohypogastric. People usually they actually answer the ilioinguinal. Ilioinguinal is too deep, and it's actually emerging from the superficial inguinal ring onward here. Usually in this region, which nerve is actually under threat? This hypogastric. And which artery will actually have a hematoma or severe bleeding? Deep circumflex iliac. So usually in the questions, these nerves and arteries are usually asked here. And if I am telling you all these nerves which are actually entering here, in which layer? 2 and 3. If in the 2 and 3 all these nerves are entering, but you see they will reach here very close to your lateral border of rectus abdominis muscle here. So because they are actually living in which layer? You say internal transverse thoracis, this is transverse abdominis, external oblique, but this is internal oblique. Here they are living. But when you are actually coming closer to this, means from here, if you are coming closer to this lateral border, where they will go? Either they come in front or they will go behind, because they are actually running where? They are actually going like here, so they will come back here. Means they will be coming back into what? Into the posterior, means into the posterior rectus sheath. In the posterior rectus sheath means behind the rectus abdominis, they penetrate. They will be a content of. They will be the content of rectus sheath, because they will come here lying on the rectus abdominis. If you are penetrating, where you will be now sleeping? Embedded, you see, buried within the rectus abdominis. Now penetrate the rectus abdominis through and through, supply it. And now you are under what? Under the anterior rectus sheath. Pass through that, means 2 layers, 1.5 layer, means internal oblique, anterior lamina and external oblique both penetrated to become now cutaneous. And now is the cutaneous supply will be there. So under the umbilicus, which will be? 10th nerves will be there also. And all these nerves, you know that they are here called the anterior cutaneous nerves. But here in the mid-axillary point, they are lateral cutaneous nerves also. The same like intercostal, because they are intercostal. So their shape will be, actually their distribution will be same. Understand? So they are contents of your rectus sheath also. But how many nerves will be the contents of rectus sheath? Lower 6 nerves. Not the L1. L1 never enters into the rectus sheath. So in the rectus sheath will be your lower 6 intercostal nerves. And 1 subcostal. We call it sometimes conventionally we call it intercostal also. रुकते नहीं, हम लोग कहते हैं ना बच्चे 5 हैं तो 5 इंटरकास्टल करके छठी को सबकास्टल हम समझते हैं, लेकिन कहते हैं हम लोअर 6 इंटरकास्टल. कन्वेंशनली कहते हैं हम ऐसे ही है, हमें पता होता है बैक ऑफ माइंड में कि छठी को हम वो जो 12वीं है दैट इज कॉल्ड सबकास्टल एंड सबकास्टल विल बी डाउन देयर. सो दिस विल बी कन्वेंशनली कॉल्ड एज द 12th इंटरकास्टल. And so low down, if for example there is a parabendalis muscle also available, then the parabendalis will be supplied here by this 12th intercostal. L1 never enters. Means your lateral side muscles will be not just supplied here by your 6 intercostals, but by the iliohypogastric also, and ilioinguinal comes this also supplies that. Understand? So this is something that is the intercostal nerves here. So this is the nerve supply of your anterior abdominal wall. Lymphatic drainage, बहुत क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, इनको अच्छे तरीके से कर लो, आसान भी है और क्वेश्चन बहुत आते हैं. और इसकी इंजरीज में कौन कौन सी आर्टरियाँ कहाँ कहाँ आएंगी, कोलेटरल्स किस तरीके से है, कैपिटल मेडुसी क्या है, लिम्फेटिक्स कैसे जाती हैं, कौन कौन से लिम्फेटिक्स इन्वॉल्व होंगे, ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें आप एक बेसिक अच्छे तरीके से कर लो तो क्वेश्चन कहीं नहीं जाते. फिर आप उसके बाद जो पीछे जो आपके न्यूरोवेस्कुलर बंडल्स के क्वेश्चंस दिए हैं उनको करो, उनके एक्सप्लेनेशंस भी हैं, और वहाँ जो जो डिफिकल्टी है तो फिर मुझसे सॉल्व कराओ यहाँ पे. अंडरस्टैंड? सो दिस वाज योर क्लास.